Yes.
All right.
Here we go.
So, who's Jorge? What was he to art group, and what did you guys learn about?
Jorge was the driver of our group.
One of them.
One of them. He was 55 years old, right? 55 years old, and he has 10 children. Nine. I was round up.
Why not?
He has 9 children, 7 girls and 2 boys.
Oh, the youngest being 18 and the oldest being 32, 35.
And he basically won all of our hearts.
How did he win your heart?
Say from
I
the
mean,
beginning.
one he was really like loving, like a very like loving human being, and like he would be very like fatherly, you know.
And passionate.
Yeah.
And he loved to dance.
He loved. Oh, he could dance, man. That man could dance.
Yes. Which also. And then one day, actually it all started when Bari was talking to him about how many kids he had, and I being facetious when I was like, why do you have so many kids? And in Spanish she goes, I couldn't keep my hands off my wife. She's just so beautiful. I love her so much. And we were like, what? So then we spent this afternoon alone with Jorge when we were putting together the foam filter, and he decided to tell us his whole love story of how he met his wife and this whole thing. And it was a mix between like Spanish, because I speak not even a little Spanish, like broken Spanish, and miming and wows was what he kept saying in English.
It was just
and some input from Drew, but
What was Drew's input?
No.
Not appropriate.
Drew helped us
with
translate
a
few words
that were getting lost.
But then we understood by the end of it. Understood
The message.
Yeah.
You guys want to tell the story, or?
Okay, so Jorge was training to be a priest. He was, I think, probably around our age, right? And
Our age.
around my age, sorry. And training to be a priest, and he was at some religious event, and he saw his wife. He saw his wife, and he fell in love.
And he spent 2 years debating with God, like whether he should continue in the ministry or be with her. And she kept coming to the events, and he said, kept talking about how beautiful she was and the butterflies he got in his stomach every time she was around. And finally, his spiritual leader, like his priest he was learning from, set up a date between the two of them.
Wait, but then remember he was like the day I knew was when I saw her eyes and I saw like the world.
That was on the date.
Was it on the date or was that before?
That was on the date. Because when he was sitting down talking to her, he realized.
And then he saw her eyes. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, he went to the date and then he realized that I'm in love.
Yeah, and he goes, the beauty wasn't just on the outside, it was in her eyes too, and he was just head over heels in love with her, and she taught him how to dance, which now is why he loves it so much, and he said, I married my partner and my dance partner. And
Tell her the first move he made.
I forget now.
He held hands with her at first, and then he kissed her on the cheek. But he was really scared. He's like, he didn't want to hurt her feelings or offend her. Like, it was more than just being lust. It was more than that. So he kissed her on the cheek, and she turned her face so that they kissed his lips.
Yes, and it was super cute, and they exchanged love letters too.
Oh yeah, over 700, right?
Yeah, something like that. So when we finally met her, we got to see some of the love letters, and she verified everything was true.
And then the one story of theirs was when she was mad. You want to tell her what he told to you and then you translated to us?
Okay, so again, this translation was done completely through Ariel was there, so it wasn't really that much,
still,
but it was a lot of charading and a lot of I think I know what that word means, and a lot of Jorge being so he was mad at his, or she was mad at him. And he tried to do these small things to win her back. And one of the things he did was they both left the house because they were so angry at each other, and he went to the beach, and he collected all these flowers from near the beach that were, like, really fragrant and really beautiful, and he, like, decorated the house with them, like, put them all on the bed, and, like, led from the bed to the door, and, like, so that when she came home, she would follow the flowers, and so she came home, she followed the flowers, and she came to the bed, and she said, "Who put all this trash in my bed?" So that failed. And then the next day, he was like, "All right, well, maybe if I do the laundry and, like, hang it up, she'll love that." He did it, and she came home, she's like, "Who touched my clothing?" She was mad. So that failed. And then that night, they were really mad at each other, so they, like, went to bed, and, like, they didn't talk. They were, like, lying, he was, like, lying very far away from her. And he didn't like that at all. So he woke up, and he, like, warmed some water up, and he, like, asked her to, like, wake up and, like, sit up and started washing her feet. And he started singing her a song that they, like, had shared when they were just friends before they started dating. And then she started crying, and that's when they, like, made up. And his whole point of telling us this story is, like, young people is to remember that, like, in marriage you have to compromise, you have to try to fit the other person into your life and, like, make sure you're not angry at each other. And I think everybody in the group just melted. Like, half the time I was like, I don't know what's happening, but I kind of get it, so.
Like, not just girls, though. It was, like, girls and guys.
And when he was telling us the story, too, he ended the part that Drew was trying to say. Like, he was trying to explain to us that, like, love isn't just about the sex. Like, it's more than that, and it's, like, a tenderness. And we didn't know the word for tender. So Drew, who was outside the van, like, all he could hear was me screaming my heart in Spanish. We're like, Drew, come over here. So, like, we call him, and, like, we roll down the window, and we were like, and Jorge goes, like, "What is this word? It's not sex. It's not sex." We're like, that's all I can hear. No sexo, no sexo. And then Drew was like, "Tenderness," and walked away, like, completely terrified.
It's just one of the many examples of Drew walking into a conversation when we're, like, not in context.
And then walking away. Like, I don't deal with it.
So, yeah, Jorge always ends his story with, like, these loving morals and, like, true love exists.
He was such a great person to have on the trip.
Yes. And an inspiration that
True love is out there. Somewhere in Honduras. Somewhere waits for us. Somewhere in Honduras.
Beyond the Baleadas.
No, it starts with the Baleadas. That's true love.
In Honduras, though. Not.
Anything else, Luke? Can you say anything
Nope.
else?
Thanks a lot for your story.